Hello Automators, it's our monthly video where I get to update you on the best things that I've added to my smart home as I try to build this into the best one I can. So join me on my journey, join us all in our conversation, and of course, let me know what you think. Let's give her. I have begun my inevitable march towards solar panels, or at least some kind of power generation and storage in my home. I took the first big step here with what's called the Aeotec Home Energy Meter 8. I actually have two of them. I'll explain the reason for that, and you'll see our video about this come out in early July. So we're actually here ahead of our coverage talking to you about this one. Now the Home Energy Meter 8 is basically this little box that connects through Z-Wave, actually even Z-Wave long range, to a hub. Then you connect these clamps into that box, okay? And you could buy versions with 1, 2, or 3 clamps that fit the electrical system in your country or your area. Those little clamps are called CTs, or current transformers, and they measure the field that's actually generated around your power cables when current runs through them. So the clamps go over the power cables, and those clamps generally sit inside of your breaker box. I had an electrician come in and do that. Honestly, it's just a little bit much for me to be touching incoming power for a whole home. It's not a real dangerous thing, but just I didn't feel comfortable. Once this is all set up, you get some pretty incredible information in your smart home hub. It'll connect with SmartThings and Habitat, but I gotta say, the dashboards that you get with Homey and Home Assistant, they're nothing short of incredible. And I'm actually having trouble deciding which of those two systems to use in the end with this energy meter. So again, I kind of got something that I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna use in the long run, but I already love what I'm getting out of this. For example, it was about 5 minutes into having the meter connected that I decided I needed to eat, and I started to make something with the oven. After I turned on the oven, I decided, hey, let's look at the new toy. I watched the power jump up to like 5 kilowatts, and then I turned off the oven and it dropped way down, and I figured out, oh my gosh, I am spending a ton of money when I turn on the oven. So, I put all the food to the side, got a little hangry, and decided to film this all. I also realized doing this that if I use some smaller appliances, I could save quite a bit of money. So we've talked about that as a family here. We're starting to shift how we're cooking, and I've been doing things like air fryer steaks. Have you guys tried that? It's actually pretty good, okay? So we're also getting all kinds of information, all kinds of great graphs, and the info can update basically as fast as you want because there's all kinds of settings in those hubs. Now, I installed the second one for the future, and that's the future with solar, because it can actually measure both your consumption and your production in your home, and I intend to put my production on the garage roof instead of on our home here. I got a breaker panel out in that garage. I can attach it to there. Now I'm actually still measuring what the garage is consuming separately today. So if you have a circuit that you want to measure separately, you can do that. That's what I'm doing with it today, but eventually it'll go to production. I'm also thinking, if I ever have a roof problem with solar panels up there, that'll be a much cheaper issue to deal with. So pretty happy with that one. There's nothing more summer than the smell of a freshly cut lawn, but that makes me sneeze. So I like my summer a little better when I don't have to cut my lawn. Because of that, and because of what I do for a living, I ended up with 2 robot mowers. The first one, the incredibly large Yarbo, a mower slash snowblower slash blower slash tank with a cult-like following, and the Ecovacs Goat 01000 RTK. That one's essentially a robot vacuum with a set of 3 little blades on the bottom. Now these 2 mowers look very different, but they basically use the same tech to do their job. They're like electric battery powered boxes with wheels, or in the case of Yarbo, tank tracks. They have cameras and other sensors for navigation, and they do object avoidance, and the experience is so much like a robot vacuum that it's uncanny. Both of the ones that I'm talking about can be driven manually by Bluetooth and or connect to Wi-Fi. They make maps of your yard. They have a lot of the same settings and controls that your vacuums do, but they do differ in a couple of key ways from their vacuum friends. They're not just using their onboard sensors. They also use something called RTK positioning. Now, RTK is basically using satellite-based positioning, and it lets the device know where it is in our yard versus this little antenna that you end up having to install. Now, they don't want those antennas placed near to the house. It affects signal strength and how many satellites you can essentially, I guess, triangulate with. So you end up with a cable going out to a little antenna pole. This was actually really easy with the Goat. They provided good clips for keeping the cable low enough so it doesn't get mowed down, but Yarbo's been a little more difficult to deal with because it needs a PoE cable and it's powering a larger antenna. There's more going on with that one. So I actually asked you guys for help in a previous video we did, and I think you've given me the idea I'm gonna take up, and I'll update you in another video if it works. Now, if you want to see what the big problem is and see me a little more disheveled, this is nuts. I left the link to that video down below. Honestly, it's pretty amazing just to see what you get with Yarbo. There's just so much equipment and it's an impressive machine. But we have two big questions because we've ended up with an embarrassment of riches and mowers here in the household, and, you know, am I keeping both of them? And of course, how has it actually changed our daily lives? I've scheduled the Goat to go out in my backyard consistently because it's just doing a fantastic job there. I love how the grass looks, and I don't have to do anything to have that happen. When it goes to my front yard, it has to pass by an AC unit, and I'm probably gonna have to lift that up at some point if I want to use these kinds of robots. That's because that little side area, it's too small for these robots to, I guess, feel comfortable going by them. They're kind of tentative machines, and I would say they're gonna need a little more processing power, a little better camera, object recognition, a few more sensors before they're gonna be willing to go past a spot like this. Now, the Goat did start to figure it out, but it's still iffy when I schedule it. I usually get interrupted. Now, the other problem is that I have eaves that are down around the yard, and it will sometimes run into those. If I've left out a hose, it'll run over that too. So, like, I have a 2-minute task to go prepare my yard when I want to send it out to the front yard. And then if it does get stuck at that AC unit, I can manually drive it past that. And what's really neat about that is I don't even have to be outside to do that. You can use the camera. Anyways, I'm not going to keep 2 of these. And it was Father's Day yesterday, or at least yesterday when I filmed this video. It's been a pretty amazing thing to be able to take that over to my folks and actually, as my father put it, replace him. So, you know, he doesn't have to cut his lawn anymore, and I was pretty excited to be able to do that. It was actually working better than at my place. They have a little more space for the bot to navigate around. And I kept Yarbo because I want to test it out more. In the end, it'll actually go over to their place in the winter. They have a big driveway, a lot to snowblow, and a lot to plow. And I've got more testing to do with the Yarbo. I gotta make sure all of that navigation works. So my hope is that I actually bring the Goat back come winter and give them Yarbo. But there's gonna be a little bit of back and forth. So this summertime isn't quite finalized. Now, summer is for getting out with your family and friends, and I joke that I'm such a geek that I'll never go outside, but we're gonna get out, and when we do that this summer, I'm kind of excited to take the new Govee Table Lamp 2 Pro with us. That's a big long name, but it has a speaker in it that was made by JBL, and it has a light that was made by Govee. And it also has a big old battery in it. It can be unplugged like it is now and come with us on adventure. So my plan Take that on trips to the beach or the lake this summer. I'll put on a very small bathing suit, make everyone uncomfortable, but you know, maybe this light will attract people to still talk to me. What's cool about this speaker is that I can control it from my phone no matter where I am. It doesn't need that Wi-Fi signal. For those of you who know Govee gear, you know they've been building everything with Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So while I won't be able to control it with Wi-Fi at the beach, I can control the light features through Bluetooth and the Govee app, and then I can play music from my phone. And you know, let's pretend my kid is tired of listening to dad's old terrible music. He can actually take over with his phone, connect to the speaker through Bluetooth, and it's all really seamless. And I gotta say, you know, with the sound from JBL, I'm enjoying this one a lot. Now, the light itself is of course a Govee one. That means it looks incredible. I mean, look at this thing. It's got incredible effects. They're always finding a way to tuck an extra feature or two into their lights today too. And with this one, that reflection right there, like look at that, right? It blows me away every time I look at it. And it's especially the case when you got multiple colors moving and changing, right? I've actually been using it in our bedroom as a music speaker. It's not a voice assistant, so it's not listening to everything we say, but it is capable of music sync. Now, I'm probably gonna have to get a second one. You can stereo pair the two, and that'll also make it look right on our bedside nightstands. You can't just have one, right? You know, being able to connect this to our Apple TV and our Fire TV, this has been great already. It's also probably the best night light out there. And I say that because you can completely customize what shows up when you tap on the speaker like I just did there. That works so great as a night light. I showed how to do this a couple of times in our full review on this lamp. You can see how to customize it so it's perfect for what you want at night. So, you know, I'm finding a lot of worth in this. I know a lot of people were waiting for this one to come out after it was unveiled at CES. There's a lot of excitement out there, and I get it now that I have it. Before I go on to our last item that I added this month, I want to update you on a couple of things that we've taken on here at Automate Your Life. So first of all, you're seeing the shirt I'm wearing. It's called the Terrell Teddy, and it was made by Ben, who is now running our second channel. I've had it for a while here, and I've spent a long time trying to find someone to work with over the long term and to try and help them grow as a creator. And I think Ben and I have this really good working relationship. He's just good people, you know. I'm working with Ben. I'm trying to teach him the little things that I know about creating on YouTube, and honestly, he's doing a great job. But using that second channel has meant that the audience over there, they've had a bit of turmoil, right? You know, it was Automate Your Life tutorials. We had someone else who we worked with for a little bit, didn't work out. So he's had a little trouble getting the audience moving. He's producing these fun story-based videos where he's taking tech, turning it into great experiences for his family, or in some cases completely failing.
Yeah, see? That's where you belong!
Anyways, if you guys believe in kind of any of the things I say here on Automate Your Life, go check him out over there. He's making short, fun, and exciting videos, and I hope you'll help him out. Now, the other thing I'm doing, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this as this comes out, but we're building more content that's intended to be either helpful to you or more of a community type thing. Like, gone are the days of the big reviews and trying to be all flashy. We get these products in, most of them are really great, most of them provide a lot of benefits, and I want to show you like everything about all of them. I want to show you that tap feature, right? I think in a lot of cases that means I get lost in the weeds, and it's not always the most kind of conversational content. I love producing those big guides, and there are certainly lots of you that say, hey, I really love that, but it means a big time commitment for all of you to watch, and I know you don't always want to watch that. So this kind of series was born out of the idea that we needed a little more bite-sized content, and while the video is not super short, you got all these little segments that you can come in see what you're into, drop a line, have a conversation, and help us on our journey. And I'm gonna start doing something that honestly I'm a little afraid of. By the time I have released this video, and hopefully actually later today, I will have done my first live unboxing. So we're gonna do some live content. I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna chat with you guys while we open something or some things up. And you know, the truth is, I think it's gonna be a real learning experience for me, because lots of these products need extra things or extra work to get them working. So I don't know how lots of these are gonna go. It could be a disaster, but I think it'll be a good time for all of us to connect. So I hope you'll watch for that. Now, personally, I have always enjoyed SwitchBot products, but there were little technical issues that kind of kept me from going in deep, using their products for a really long time. But I think SwitchBot has turned a corner, both technically and in terms of the power of their automations. In our first episode of this series, I talked about connecting Bluetooth products from SwitchBot and from Govee into Home Assistant and how much that has changed SwitchBot specifically in my home. Then over the last month, they introduced the Lock Ultra, the Vision Pro keypad, and the Hub 3. And you know, it's now created pretty fantastic ways for us to move from our garage door into our home. Now, I just enabled a feature on the keypad that allows you to push the bottom button, and that rings the Hub 3. So if my kid's at the back door, something's not working, he can ring the literal bell when he comes to the door. But when he comes in the door, or when the lock changes status, I also hear that on the Hub 3. So it's notifying me, and there's quick control on the hub itself. Now, the combination with the Vision Pro has consistently gotten better too. It's now at a point where it's recognizing all of us when we walk up to it. I'm almost not having to stop at all for the recognition to happen. And just yesterday, I was really impressed that I didn't have to stop at all. So the situation has gotten better, and the combo of these devices is now very impressive. But I mentioned those technical issues that SwitchBot had in the past, and they've kind of fixed it. Now, the fixes come from Hub 3, and it's now a mainstay in my home. Hub 3 made infrared control useful. Not just possible, useful. I love controlling my TV with it through the infrared features. I can increase the volume or decrease the volume on the TV with the little dial. I can navigate the entire menus throughout all the different apps on my TV, and I'm not stuck dealing with different remotes. Now, in the past, SwitchBot's Matter Bridge feature was fairly slow to control things, and that's gone with Hub 3 too. It makes the control of the rest of your smart home possible, and again, useful. Now, in our dedicated video, which, I've left a link down below to, that infrared control means I can do some pretty crazy things, like have my fan, which has a light on it, be controlled directly from Home Assistant or Apple HomeKit or whatever Matter app I want. That's not a straightforward thing, but it's become possible for me in my home with the Hub 3. So it's gonna stay. Let's turn to some of your questions from last month. Wi-Fi was a pretty major focus in last month's episode. I upgraded from a TP-Link Deco system to an Eero 7, and honestly, I would say half of the comments were people who didn't love Eero, the other half were people who recommended Unify, and another full half came to defend TP-Link and their gear. I removed TP-Link because I was having problems, and Vincent, he here kind of asked, or at least in a roundabout way, said that maybe I hadn't done some troubleshooting. I promise you guys, I have done a lot of troubleshooting, and although I think it was a specific device problem, in my case, in my position, in my life, with what I do for a living, I can't wait forever for network equipment to start working again, right? I'm gonna do the troubleshooting that I know how to do, and then I'm gonna move on. And that's what I did. This kind of pattern has happened with Eero multiple times, with Google Wi-Fi multiple times. What I always find is they don't start out perfect, but they eventually work out most of the kinks. That's kind of where I'm at with Eero today. So I'm happy. And yeah, lots of you wanted to talk about Unify, which someday I might look at, guys. Maybe that's how I get to the perfect smart home, because maybe I do hit an upper limit of Eero, but it's great right now. There was one specific question from Carlos, and I think this is worth an explanation. Kind of leads into getting your Wi-Fi outdoors, which has been a huge help. Now, he was asking, how do you do the outdoor Eero and get it wired in? When we built our garage, I had them run a couple of pairs of Ethernet cables. They're Cat 6 or 6A, I can't remember. Anyways, they run right from the middle of my home, from my main network switch all the way out to that garage, and they go to 2 different spots. Now, one of those spots, I have a power over Ethernet injecting network switch. It's just this little 5-port switch that can take in the Ethernet, and because it's also powered by an outlet, it injects the power over Ethernet to the other 4 ports. And that's what's necessary for Eero Outdoor to take for power and from a connection standpoint. So I just had a standard cable, then going from that switch into the outdoor, and it powers and connects the switch. Now, this question was asked by Chris, one of our channel members. Chris, thank you for being a channel member. Guys, it really helps us out when you join up as a member, and we give you early access to all our videos. Now, this is one of the most interesting questions I think I've got in a long time. You guys can see that I'm starting to use Home Assistant quite a bit, but I'm also using Homey. Now, I've been really happy with Homey, but as a more advanced smart home person, I can do certain things with Home Assistant that I can't do with Homey. Those Bluetooth proxies that we talked about last month, they're giving me more features with Govee and SwitchBot, and those are great examples of something that I could just take a little further with Home Assistant. I also really appreciate some of their troubleshooting options on Home Assistant that I just don't get with Homey. You know, when Chris asked how I'm deciding on which automations to put where, well, the fact is I'm slowly kind of moving towards Home Assistant because I can do more there, but I am doing it cautiously. And I said, you know, many times on this channel, and this always blows up the comments, but I have concerns about where Home Assistant as a platform is headed. It's not that I have these like major concerns about something nefarious going on or that the platform is screwed. Perfect example kind of happened last month. We saw it with the removal of some of the Home Assistant install options. Like, they're trying to do so much that I feel like they're starting to hit limits on a lot of things, and they're starting to peel back a few things. The hardware I'm using Home Assistant Green. If I go full bore into that, I feel like I'm just gonna hit the limit. I'm gonna end up with a big Home Assistant setup. Like, I'm gonna end up in servers or big massive racks in my home. I don't think I'm quite ready to go there. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to balance things to actually distribute the loads a little bit. In the future, I imagine we're going to get a kind of hardware that's not so difficult to do all of this with Home Assistant. But right now, I'm kind of not willing to go that far. So I'm balancing things between the platforms. Every month at the end of this video, I'm going to build a playlist that gives you all the reviews of the videos or all the setup videos, tutorials that are related to this. So everything you saw today is in the playlist that's on screen there. You can go check it out, and if you want any more of those details, they're going to be there for you. Jump between the different videos. Otherwise, thanks for hanging out with me today. Thanks for watching today, and of course, live smart.